Year 1, and this is the start of our today's English lesson. So we're going to start, as always, with some grammar. So first thing I want you to do is think about what a prefix is. If you can tell your grown-up what a prefix is, I'll just give you a few seconds. Okay, and this is what the dictionary tells us it is. This is what our robots say it is. A prefix is a grapheme string, which means it's a set of letters that's added at the start of a word. It changes the word's meanings. Now, the robots have got your first challenge of the day. What does the prefix un do? That's right. The word un makes the word mean the opposite. So, for example, unkind is not kind. Now, the robots have your second challenge. Can you remember some of the words starting with from yesterday? Grown-ups, if you pause the video until your child has had a good chance to write a few of these down, that would be great. Oh, well done, Year 1. Let's see what you came up with. The robot's going to give you uncomfortable. Have a little fidget. Do you feel uncomfortable? I hope not. Uncertain? That means you're not sure of something. I'm sure the grown-ups know how that feels at the moment. Unfair? You all know what that means. Try to make sure it doesn't apply at home. Unhappy? Well, to be honest, Year 1, that's not something you do very much. Unkind? Again, not something you do. Uncover, when you remove a cover off something to reveal something. And the last one, unable. And now here's your investigation. Try to find as many different words that start with a prefix un. You could look them up in a dictionary. You could go online and type them into and ask Google, or you could use Alexa or Google in your house if you've got that option. Here's a few that the robots have got to start you off. Unusual, untrue, unhealthy, and unclear. So here's the challenge. This is what they want you to do. And it's 2 things, 1 for each robot. How many more can you come up with? And can you write sentences using these words? Well done, Year 1. That's the end of our grammar session. So grown-ups, if you'd like to pause the video until you're ready for the main part of the lesson. Oh, welcome back, Year 1. This is the second day of our poetry work. And we've got a new poem today. I'm going to read it through once, and then we're going to try to read it together. So get ready. You may need these robot arms for when we're looking at reading some of the longer words. Okay, so here is today's poem. My robot. My robot must rate as my favourite toy, a wonderful, whirring, mechanical joy. My robot can talk, but he'd much rather sing, or go to the park and play on the swings. My robot is silver and very astute. For instance, this week he was learning the flute. My robot's adept at a number of tests, like doing my homework or folding my vests. My robot tells jokes that will tickle your sides, or spin a good story, and much more besides. And with a small spanner I always keep handy, I unbolt his head to store all my candy. Well, I hope you enjoyed that poem, and I bet you would quite like to have a robot like that at home at the moment to help you with everything you're doing. Right, we're going to read it a second time now, and you're going to read it along with me. So I'm going to go a little bit slower, and remember, when it's a 2-syllable word like robot, or a multi-syllable word like favourite, you could use your robot arms to help you to say it. So let's go together. My robot must rate as my favourite toy. A wonderful, whirring, mechanical joy. My robot can talk, but he'd much rather sing, or go to the park and play on the swings. My robot is silver and very astute. For instance, this week he was learning the flute. My robot's adept at a number of tests, like doing my homework or folding my vests. My robot tells jokes that will tickle your sides or spin a good story and much more besides. And with a small spanner I always keep handy, I unbolt his head to store all my candy. Just one additional question. Can you spot the unword in that last stanza? Okay, so here's your first challenge. What I'm going to do in a moment is reread the poem and you can join in. Then you're going to identify 5 or 6 of the polysyllabic words. Now grown-ups, that's words with 2 or more syllables, words like robot and favourite. You can do this by clapping the words. If it's a single clap, then it's a monosyllabic word. If you have got more than 2 claps in a word, then that's a polysyllabic word. You can write these down on a piece of paper, or you can cut it up, or you can write 1 word per piece of paper. It's completely up to you. Arrange them on the floor so you can pick them up easily, and then when we read the poem for a 4th time, I want you to hold up the word when I read it, and I will be highlighting those words as we go along. Okay, so I'm going to read the poem again, and then you're welcome to read this as often as you want, finding the polysyllabic words. So, my robots must rate as my favourite toy, a wonderful whirring mechanical joy. My robot can talk, but he'd rather sing, or go to the park and play on the swings. My robot is silver and very astute. For instance, this week he was learning the flute. My robot's adept at a number of tests, like doing my homework or folding my vests. My robot tells jokes that will tickle your sides, or spin a good story, and much more besides. And with a small spanner I always keep handy, I unbolt his head to store all my candy. So here's the example of the first polysyllabic word, and it's, you've guessed it, robot. And now grown-ups, if you want to pause the video while you read over and identify your chosen 4 or 5 words. Okay, so here we go. Let's have a go at holding the words up as we read it, and I'm going to highlight them as we go along. My robot must rate as my favourite toy, a wonderful whirring mechanical joy. My robot can talk, but he'd much rather sing, or go to the park and play on the swings. My robot is silver and very astute. For instance, this week he was learning the flute. Can you imagine that, year 1? My robot's adept at a number of tests, like doing my homework or folding my vests. My robot tells jokes that will tickle your sides, or spin a good story, and much more besides. And with a small spanner I always keep handy, I unbolt his head to store all my candy. Now, I don't know, year 1, did you spot that I actually managed to miss one? So I think in the last stanza I should have done story as well. It just shows how hard it is to spot all of them. Okay, now we're going to go on to our final task. Okay, so what I want you to do is, using those words you've chosen, or you can choose some different ones by rewinding the video, you're going to have a go at using a dictionary, or an online dictionary, or Alexa, or anything that you can use to find the definition of a word. So for example, if we were to choose favourite, we would then look this up. Now I'm going to recommend that you use Learner's Dictionary because it's designed for children. I'm going to put a link at the bottom of this piece of work so that you can access it, but otherwise you just need to type Learner's Dictionary into Google. Right, once you get onto that, click in the link as I've just done, all you need to do is type the word favourite or your own word, and then press the magnifying glass, and then you'll get a really good definition aimed at children. So it's always used before a noun, so it describes something, and it means most liked. So for example, it says red is my favourite colour. What's your favourite movie? Washing dishes is my least favourite chore. It's the chore I like the least. So this is what you could use, or you could use Alexa, or you could use a dictionary, however you want to do it. I'm going to pause the video again just for a second, and then I'm going to show you what we need to do to record what we found. So the last step is going to be today writing down the definition. Now you could do this one at a time on your whiteboards, or you could do them on a sheet of paper and keep them, maybe even photograph them and send them into our home learning link. So I've typed out the word favourite, and now I'm going to use the definition from the dictionary. So I'm just going back to check it, and I'm just going to stick with most liked because I think that's the easiest definition. And now finally you should check that the word makes sense in the poem. Your new definition makes sense. So if I go back to the poem, my robot must rate as my most liked toy. Well, I think that makes sense. So I think you've done the job. And that is what you're aiming to do, to show that you understand, you've introduced and we've discussed key vocabularies. I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson, and there'll be more challenges tomorrow.